Hello, my name is Eric, and today I'm going to show you how to inspect and clean the horsepower limiter cartridge on a PVG 100 pump. This procedure is going to be very similar for horsepower limiters on the PVG B frames, C frames, and also our D frames, our PVG 150s and PVG 180s. In the graphic you can see a horsepower curve. This is the actual pressure versus flow curve for a PVG 100 pump set at 60 horsepower. You can see that the break point is approximately 1,945 psi. One of the issues we've seen over the years is we get contamination caught in the horsepower limiter spool or horsepower limiter poppet. What this results on your machine is a sudden loss of pressure, a sudden loss of flow. What really happens is that horsepower curve that you see suddenly shifts considerably farther to the left and down. So the pump begins to reduce flow at a much lower pressure. That's generally the symptom of having a piece of debris caught in the horsepower limiter cartridge. Since the horsepower limiter is set up at the factory, we really don't want to make any gross changes to the setting. So as you can see on the adjuster, there is a tamper-proof cap on here. We're going to leave that locked down. This is the slide block. This is also in a critical position. We're going to leave that exactly where it is. What we're going to do is take out the horsepower cartridge and inspect the poppet and seat. So we do that, make sure our adjuster is locked down, but we can take the bonnet out without changing the setting. I'm going to loosen my bonnet. I'll pull that out. Here's my bonnet. Here's my poppet. And my spring. So the symptom of a sudden loss of system horsepower is often caused by a piece of debris getting caught between this poppet and this port. So what I like to do is take that apart, check my poppet, make sure I have a nice sharp point on that, no debris. And then what I'll do is I'll take some cleaner or solvent and I'll actually spray it into this port right here, and the fluid should come directly out this port. So that's going to flush the entire cavity. I'll also check my O-ring and backup. I have an O-ring and a backup to make sure that neither one of those are damaged. Because if I have a damaged O-ring or backup, it can cause a very similar symptom. Of course, that symptom is a sudden loss of pressure and flow. So once I inspect that, make sure it's all clean, I'm able to reassemble this. What I found works really well is I'll put a dab of grease here on the spring, insert my spring and poppet. At this point I can take my cartridge, put that in the center of the poppet, and turn that in. Of course, then we can tighten that down. And we've managed to do this without changing the horsepower setting on the pump. So put that, tighten that back up, and we'll be able to retest the spring, retest the system. Very often that piece of debris has been flushed out and our horsepower setting will be correct.